your business here?
I have come with these children. They belong here.
Oba, it's them.
She was just a humble fisherwoman until she found 2 babies floating alone in the river. What she did next would shock an entire nation and change the fate of the richest family in Nigeria forever. If you want to see how these river twins reunite with their real family and witness the shocking twist no one saw coming, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss this unbelievable story. The morning sun had barely touched the waters of the Niger Delta when the mist rose like a thin white veil over the surface. The river was calm, but beneath that calmness lay centuries of stories, whispered legends, and mysteries carried from one generation to the next. On this particular day, the river was about to tell a story that no one in the small fishing village of Odorogu could ever forget. Amara, a strong fisherwoman in her mid-30s, balanced her canoe carefully as she pushed away from the shore. Her hands were rough from years of pulling nets and paddles, her skin bronzed by the relentless Sunday. Despite the hardships of her life, her eyes still carried a warmth that reflected her resilience. She was known in the village not just for her skill in fishing, but also for her heart, always the first to help a neighbor, always the first to share her catch with those who had nothing. As she rowed further into the river, Amara hummed a soft folk song, the kind her late mother used to sing whenever the catch was uncertain. Birds scattered across the water in graceful arcs, and the air smelled of fresh earth and salt. It was supposed to be an ordinary morning, one of many that came and went in her humble life. But then, something unusual caught her eye. A strange object was drifting slowly along the current. At first, Amara thought it might be a piece of wood, or perhaps a broken fishing basket abandoned upstream. She narrowed her eyes against the glare of the rising sun and squinted. The object bobbed once, then steadied itself. It wasn't moving like debris, it looked deliberate. Amara's pulse quickened. She dipped her paddle into the water and directed her canoe closer. The air suddenly felt heavier, like the river itself was holding its breath. When she finally reached the floating object, her heart stopped. It was a bamboo basket, sturdy yet weather-worn, sealed carefully with cloth. And from inside that basket came the faintest sound. At first, Amara thought it was the river playing tricks on her ears. But then the sound grew clearer. It was a cry. A baby's cry. Her hands trembled as she pulled the basket onto her canoe. Carefully, with the caution of someone opening a sacred treasure, she loosened the cloth and looked inside. There, lying together, were 2 tiny baby's twins, barely a year old. Their skin was soft and glowing, their faces fragile yet radiant, as if carved from innocence itself. One baby whimpered weakly, the other looked at Amara with wide, searching eyes. Amara's breath caught in her throat. She could hardly believe what she was seeing. "Great spirits of the river," she whispered under her breath. "What is this miracle you have placed in my hands?" The babies were wrapped in fine cloth, too fine for ordinary villagers to afford. Around the neck of one twin hung a small golden pendant, shaped like a crown. Amara had never seen such a piece before, but instinct told her it meant something. As she held the basket close, waves of emotions surged through her. Shock, fear, wonder, responsibility. Who would abandon such precious children? Why here, in the river? And who were their parents? The river lapped gently against the sides of her canoe, as if urging her to make a decision. Amara's mind raced. She could not simply leave them. But she also knew her village superstitions ran deep. Some might say the babies were a blessing, others might whisper they were a curse sent by river spirits. Either way, their arrival would shake the quiet life of Otorogu. The babies whimpered again, one reaching its tiny hand toward Amara's fingers. In that moment, her heart melted. She felt an overwhelming pull, as though fate itself had chosen her for this moment. Gathering her courage, Amara whispered, "Don't worry, little ones. I will not let the river take you. You are safe with me." With steady arms, she secured the basket in her canoe and began to row back toward the village. Every stroke of her paddle felt heavier, as though she carried not just 2 children, but the weight of a mystery too big for her to solve alone. As she approached the village shore, a few fishermen spotted her, returning earlier than usual. Curious, they gathered around, wondering why Amara looked so pale and tense. When she stepped onto the sand and lifted the basket, gasps erupted from the crowd. Women covered their mouths, men exchanged uneasy glances, and the children peeked from behind their mothers' legs with wide eyes. 2 babies, floating alone in the river. The villagers erupted in whispers. Spirits have sent them. No, they are cursed, sent to bring misfortune. Who would abandon twins like this? Amara held the babies close, shielding them from the fearful stares. Her voice shook, but her determination did not. These children are not a curse, she declared. They are a gift. And until we find out who they belong to, they will be under my care. The murmurs grew louder, some supportive, some doubtful. The chief elder, Adewale Johnson, stepped forward, his tall frame casting a shadow over the gathering. His eyes, wise yet unreadable, fixed on the babies. After a long silence, he said, "If the river has given them to us, then it is not for us to refuse. But remember, Amara, with every gift from the river comes a price." Amara felt a shiver run down her spine. That night, as she laid the twins to sleep in her hut, she could not shake the elder's words from her mind. She stroked the baby's soft cheeks and whispered, "Who are you, little ones, and why has fate brought you to me?" Unbeknownst to her, in the shadows at the edge of the village, a figure watched quietly. His eyes glinted with recognition. He knew exactly where those children came from, and he knew that their appearance in the village would change everything. The story of the river twins had just begun. The village of Otorogu had always been quiet, a place where the rhythm of life was dictated by the tides of the Niger Delta. But that night, after Amara brought home the mysterious twins, the air was heavy with whispers. From the fishermen gathered near the riverbank to the women cooking over open fires, everyone had something to say. Children, curious and wide-eyed, ran from hut to hut, repeating what they had seen. Amara brought 2 babies from the river. They were floating in a basket. Their innocent voices carried the story across the village until no home was untouched by the news. Inside her small hut, Amara sat cross-legged on the floor beside a makeshift bed of raffia mats. The twins, swaddled in cloth, slept peacefully. Their tiny breaths rose and fell in rhythm, unaware of the storm they had stirred in the hearts of the villagers. Amara stared at them with a mix of wonder and unease. She had chosen to protect them, but deep down, she feared what the rest of the village might decide. The door creaked open, and her neighbor Ngozi slipped inside. "Amara," she whispered urgently, "people are talking. Some say the twins are blessings from the river goddess. Others say they're curses, omens of death." Amara's jaw tightened. "They are just children, Ngozi. How can innocence be a curse?" Ngozi hesitated, her eyes darting to the babies. "You know how our people are. When something cannot be explained, they fear it." Before Amara could reply, a low voice boomed from outside. "Bring the children out." It was Chief Adewale Johnson, the elder of the village. Tall and commanding, his presence alone silenced the crowd that had gathered around Amara's hut. His deep-set eyes carried the wisdom of years, but also the weight of responsibility. Amara rose, clutching the basket. The villagers parted as she stepped out, the twins nestled against her chest. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, but no one dared step forward. Chief Adewale lifted a hand for silence. His voice carried authority as he spoke. "Amara, daughter of this land, tell us what you found." Amara's voice trembled, but she stood firm. "This morning, the river carried them to me. They were floating in a basket, alive, crying for help. I could not turn away." Gasps escaped from the crowd. A woman crossed herself, another spat on the ground to ward off evil. A young man shouted, "They are not ours! The river spirits have cursed us with strange children." But an older woman countered, "No, they are blessings. Twins are sacred, born of the gods." The argument escalated quickly, half the villagers declaring the babies were signs of fortune, half insisting they were dangerous. Fear clashed with hope in a whirlwind of voices. Chief Adewale raised his hand again, silencing them. "The river has chosen, but we do not yet understand its meaning. Until we know the truth, these children will remain under Amara's care. No harm will come to them." The crowd reluctantly dispersed, though uneasy glances followed Amara as she returned to her hut. That night, the village lay quiet, but Amara's heart was restless. She watched the twins sleep, their tiny hands curled into fists. she whispered to herself. "I don't care what they say. I will protect you." Yet, somewhere beyond the flickering glow of her lantern, danger lurked. A man stood hidden among the trees at the edge of the village. His clothes were fine, far richer than anything the villagers wore. His eyes gleamed with recognition as he watched the fisherwoman cradle the babies. He whispered to himself, "So, they survived." With careful steps, he disappeared into the darkness, leaving behind only the sound of rustling leaves. Amara had no idea that the twins in her care carried a past far greater than her imagination. A past that stretched far beyond the humble boundaries of her fishing village into the palaces of Lagos, into the hands of the powerful, and into a legacy stained with greed and betrayal. For now, the village slept. But the story of the river twins was only beginning to unfold. Far away from the calm waters of Otorogu village, the bustling city of Lagos thrived with energy and chaos. Towering skyscrapers glittered in the sunlight, luxury cars filled the wide roads, and the air buzzed with the sounds of commerce, ambition, and dreams. It was a world far removed from the quiet life of fisherfolk, a world of wealth and power where fortunes were made and legacies fought over. In the heart of Lagos stood the grand mansion of Oba Chukwuma, one of Nigeria's most powerful billionaires. His empire stretched across oil, shipping, and real estate. To outsiders, he had everything: money, influence, respect. But behind the polished marble walls of his estate, his heart carried a wound that no riches could heal. 2 years ago, Oba and his wife, Ifeoma, had welcomed twin sons into the world. The birth was celebrated with grandeur. The twins were heirs to a fortune worth billions, symbols of continuity for the Chukwuma dynasty. But only 1 year later, tragedy struck. The twins vanished. It happened on a stormy night. The mansion's power had gone out, thunder shook the windows, and amidst the chaos, the nursery was found empty. Panic consumed the household. Guards searched the grounds, helicopters scanned the estate, and police flooded Lagos with alerts. But the twins were never found. Oba's world collapsed. Ifeoma withdrew into silence, her once bright laughter replaced by endless tears. Rumors spread that jealous relatives had orchestrated the kidnapping to break Oba's line of succession. Some whispered of enemies in business seeking revenge. Others claimed it was the work of the gods, punishing the family for their pride. Despite the whispers, one truth remained: no trace of the twins was ever found. Until now. Back in Otorogu, Amara sat by the twins as they stirred awake. She noticed something she hadn't before: a golden necklace on one child's neck, shaped like a crown. It shimmered faintly even in the dim lantern light. Her fingers brushed over it, and she froze. This was no ordinary trinket. It spoke of wealth, of royalty, of heritage far beyond her small village. Ngozi entered the hut with a calabash of soup. "Amara, you need to eat," she urged, but Amara's eyes were fixed on the necklace. "Ngozi," she whispered, "look at this. Have you ever seen such a thing?" Ngozi's eyes widened. "No villager owns gold like that." "Amara, these children, they are not ordinary. They belong to someone important." A shiver of realization ran through Amara. Who would abandon such children? Unless they were never abandoned, but stolen. As night fell, the twins whimpered again, their cries soft but insistent. Amara cradled them close, her heart aching with questions. She wanted to protect them, yet she knew that the truth of their identity could not stay hidden forever. Miles away, in Lagos, Oba sat in his study, staring at a framed photograph of his missing children. His hands, once strong and steady, trembled slightly as he traced their tiny faces. Ifeoma entered quietly, her eyes red from crying. She whispered, "Oba, do you think they're still alive?" Oba's jaw clenched. "I will never stop believing. As long as I breathe, I will search for them." At that very moment, the shadowy figure who had watched from the trees in Otorogu walked into a lavish office in Lagos. His name was Kanechi, a cousin of Oba, notorious for his greed and cunning. He had been involved in the disappearance of the twins, hoping to weaken Oba's grip on the family fortune. But now his carefully buried secret was crumbling. "They survived," he muttered angrily, pacing the room. "The river should have taken them, but instead, some fisherwoman found them." His accomplice, a sharp-eyed woman named Adaora, frowned. What do we do now? If Oba learns the truth, he will take them back, and we will lose everything we fought for. Kanechi's eyes narrowed. Then we must move quickly. The twins cannot return to Lagos alive. If they do, it's over for us. Back in the village, Amara laid awake, staring at the flickering light of her lantern. She thought about Chief Adewale's warning. Every gift from the river comes with a price. She finally understood the weight of his words. The babies were not just gifts. They were keys to a story much bigger than her own, a story of power, greed, and destiny. As she looked at their innocent faces, she whispered a vow. I don't know where you came from, little ones, but I swear on my life, I will protect you. What Amara didn't know was that her vow would drag her into the heart of Lagos, into a battle that would pit her against some of the wealthiest and most dangerous people in Nigeria. And somewhere in the shadows of the night, enemies were already plotting their next move. The river had delivered the children. But the storm was only just beginning. The moon hung low over the Niger Delta, casting silver light across the rippling waters. In Odorogu, the night was usually filled with the croaks of frogs and the distant hum of drums from neighboring villages. But this night felt different, heavier, tense, as though the very air was warning of danger. Inside her hut, Amara sat awake. The twins slept peacefully beside her, their tiny chests rising and falling. She should have been resting, but unease gnawed at her heart. Chief Adewale's words replayed in her mind, every gift from the river comes with a price. She didn't yet know what that price was, but something told her it was coming. At the edge of the village, two strangers moved silently through the shadows. Dressed in dark, expensive fabrics, they looked out of place among the thatched huts and simple fishing nets. It was Kanechi and Adewora. Adedora glanced at him nervously. Are you sure this is the right place? Kanechi's eyes gleamed with greed. I saw them myself. The Fisherwoman has them. We take the twins tonight, and no one will know. Adedora frowned. And if the villagers resist? Kanechi's voice was cold. Then they will regret standing in my way. The village lay silent, but in her hut, Amara stirred. A faint crunch of footsteps outside caught her attention. Her instincts, sharpened years of surviving alone, had made her alert to the smallest sound. She quickly doused her lantern and peered through a crack in the bamboo wall. Two figures moved toward her door. Her pulse quickened. Whoever they were, they hadn't come with good intentions. She immediately scooped the twins into her arms, wrapping them tightly in cloth. Their soft whimpers nearly broke her concentration, but she pressed a finger to her lips, whispering, Hush now, little ones, stay quiet. The door creaked open. Kanechi stepped inside, his face half hidden in the dim light. Adedora followed, scanning the hut with sharp eyes. There they are, Kanechi whispered, spotting the basket. Just as I said. Amara stepped forward, clutching the babies close. Who are you? What do you want? Kanechi forced a smile. We've come for the children. They don't belong here. Give them to us, and no harm will come to you. Amara's grip tightened. These babies were given to me by the river. They are under my protection. You will not touch them. Adedora hissed impatiently. We don't have time for this. Take them. Kanechi lunged forward, but before he could grab the basket, Amara swung a wooden paddle from behind her. The blow struck his arm, and he staggered back with a curse. The commotion startled the twins, their cries piercing the silence of the night. The noise carried through the village. Within minutes, huts lit up, and villagers rushed out, armed with sticks and torches. Chief Adewale himself arrived, his tall frame cutting through the crowd. What is happening here? He demanded. Amara pointed at Kanechi and Adewora. These strangers came to steal the twins. The villagers erupted in angry shouts. Thieves! Kidnappers! They surged forward, but Kanechi raised his hands. You fools! He spat. These children are not yours. They are heirs to a fortune in Lagos. They belong to me. The villagers gasped. Amara's eyes widened. Heirs? Fortune? Chief Adewale stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. If what you say is true, then prove it. Show us your right to take them. Kanechi sneered. I need prove nothing to simple fishermen. These children are mine by bloodline. Adedora whispered urgently. Kanechi, too many eyes are watching. We cannot take them by force, not yet. Kanechi's jaw clenched. He glared at Amara, his eyes burning with fury. This is not over. You will regret standing against me." With that, he turned sharply and stormed into the night, Adadora following close behind. The villagers buzzed with questions, confusion, and fear. Amara's arms trembled as she held the crying twins. Chief Adewale placed a hand on her shoulder. "You see now, Amara, these children carry a destiny greater than we imagined, but destiny attracts both light and darkness. You must be strong, for the storm is not yet over." Amara swallowed hard, her heart pounding. "Chief, what do I do? How can I protect them from men like him?" Adewale's eyes glinted with wisdom. "The truth of these children's birth will find you, and when it does, you must take them to where they belong." That night, after the villagers dispersed, Amara sat by the fire, staring at the necklace around one twin's neck. The golden crown-shaped pendant shimmered, a silent clue to their origin. Later, as she lay beside the babies, a folded piece of parchment slipped from the basket. She hadn't noticed it before. Curious, she picked it up and unfolded it. Her eyes widened as she read the words written in careful script. "Protect them until the time is right. They are not children of the river, but children of the throne." Her hands shook. Children of the throne? The mystery deepened, and Amara realized the danger was far from over. She was no longer just a fisherwoman, she was the guardian of heirs to an empire. And in the darkness of Lagos, Kenichi vowed to destroy anyone who stood in his way. The dawn after the attack on her hut came heavy with silence. The villagers moved about their morning chores with unease, their eyes often drifting toward Amara's small hut where the twins lay. The events of the night before were still fresh. The strangers who had come like shadows, the attempt to steal the babies, the strange words about fortune and heirs. Amara knew the village could no longer protect them. Kenichi and Adewale would return, and next time, they would not come quietly. Chief Adewale came to her hut early that morning. His weathered face was calm, but his eyes carried urgency. "Amara," he said, "the river has brought these children to you, but their destiny lies beyond this village. Lagos is where the truth of their birth will be revealed. You must go before danger finds you again." Amara's heart pounded. She had never left Otorogu. The idea of traveling to Lagos, a city she had only heard about in stories, felt overwhelming. "Chief, I am only a fisherwoman. Lagos is a city of the rich and powerful. How will I even find their family?" Adewale placed a hand on her shoulder. "The necklace around the child's neck is the key. Show it in Lagos, and the truth will find you." Ngozi, standing nearby, hugged Amara tightly. "Take care, my sister. May the spirits guide you." By afternoon, Amara had packed what little she owned, a change of clothes, some food, and a pouch of fishing tools. With the twins wrapped securely on her back and chest, she boarded a small bus headed to the nearest city, from where larger transport would carry her to Lagos. The journey was long and grueling. Dust rose in clouds along the rough roads, and the heat pressed down like a heavy blanket. Amara clutched the twins close, shielding them from the sunday. Passengers on the bus glanced at her curiously, some offered kind smiles, others whispered questions she could not answer. By the time she arrived in Lagos, the sun had dipped below the horizon. The city lights dazzled her eyes. Towering skyscrapers gleamed like giants of glass and steel. The noise was overwhelming, honking cars, shouting vendors, flashing billboards. To Amara, who had only known the quiet rhythm of fishing nets and river songs, it felt like stepping into another world. She tightened her grip on the twins. "Stay close, my little ones," she whispered. "This is where your answers lie." Meanwhile, in the grand Chukwuma mansion, Oba and Ifeoma sat in silence over dinner. The vast dining hall, lined with chandeliers and expensive artwork, felt empty without the laughter of children. Oba pushed his plate aside. "Every day that passes, I feel them slipping further away," he murmured. Ifeoma's eyes glistened with tears. "And yet, every night I dream of them. Oba, I cannot stop believing they are alive." Before Oba could answer, a servant entered hurriedly. "Sir, there are rumors in the city. A woman from the Niger Delta arrived today, carrying twins. People say one wears a golden necklace shaped like a crown." Oba froze. His heart thundered in his chest. Ifeoma clutched the table, her lips trembling. "Twins? With a crown?" Oba rose abruptly, his chair scraping against the marble floor. "Find this woman. Bring her here at once." But Kenichi was already ahead. Through his network of spies, he had learned of Amara's arrival in Lagos. From the balcony of his luxurious penthouse, he gazed down at the city lights with narrowed eyes. "So the fisherwoman dares to bring them here," he muttered. Adadora, seated beside him, asked anxiously, "What now?" Kenichi smirked. "We cannot allow her to reach Oba and Ifeoma. If the truth comes out, everything we've taken will be lost. We must claim the twins ourselves before morning." Amara, unaware of the dangers closing in, spent the night in a crowded guest house on the edge of the city. She rocked the twins gently, trying to lull them to sleep despite the noise of Lagos streets outside. As she stared at the necklace again, the words from the hidden parchment echoed in her mind. "They are not children of the river, but children of the throne." She whispered to the babies, "Tomorrow, I will find your home. Tomorrow, the truth will be revealed." But in the shadows outside her window, men were already watching. By dawn, the stage would be set for a confrontation that could either reunite a broken family or tear it apart forever. The morning sun rose over Lagos, painting the city gold. But for Amara, the day carried the weight of destiny. With the twins wrapped securely against her, she set out toward the Chukwuma mansion. Every step she took was filled with doubt, fear, and hope. She was a fisherwoman, plain and poor, yet she carried children who could change the fate of one of Nigeria's wealthiest dynasties. As she approached the gates, the sheer grandeur of the estate made her breath catch. Tall iron gates loomed high, guarded by men in sharp uniforms. Behind them stretched gardens that seemed endless, and at the center stood a mansion so vast it looked like a palace. One guard stepped forward. "What is your business here?" Amara swallowed hard and lifted the necklace from the baby's neck. The golden crown glimmered in the sunlight. "I have come with these children," she said firmly. "They belong here." The guards exchanged startled looks. One hurried inside. Within minutes, Oba and Ifeoma themselves appeared at the entrance. Their eyes widened as they saw the twins. Ifeoma gasped, covering her mouth with trembling hands. Tears welled instantly. "Oba, it's them!" she whispered. Oba's knees almost gave way. He stepped closer, staring at the children as though afraid they might vanish if he blinked. His voice broke. "My sons, my boys." Amara's own eyes blurred with tears as she carefully placed the twins into Ifeoma's arms. The mother sobbed uncontrollably, pressing kisses on their tiny faces, while Oba wrapped them all in his embrace. The reunion was raw, powerful, and overwhelming. But just as the air filled with joy, a sharp voice cut through. "They do not belong to you." Everyone turned. Kenichi and Adaora stood just outside the gate, flanked by lawyers and policemen. His voice was steady, dripping with arrogance. "These children are mine to claim. Oba has no proof they are his heirs." Gasps erupted from those gathered. Oba's joy turned to fury. "You dare stand here and say this after everything you've done?" Kenichi smirked. "Where is your evidence?" "Words and tears are not proof. The law requires more." The tension escalated quickly. The scene shifted to Lagos High Court later that week, where the matter was brought before a judge. The courtroom buzzed with journalists, socialites, and curious onlookers. The disappearance and sudden reappearance of the Chukwuma twins had become national news. Amara sat nervously at the witness stand, clutching the parchment she had found in the basket. Oba and Ifeoma sat beside their lawyer, determined but weary. Across from them, Kenichi's smug smile never faltered. The judge, a stern woman in flowing robes, struck her gavel. "This court will hear the truth today. Who are the rightful guardians of these twins?" Kenichi's lawyer rose first. "My client, Kenichi Chukwuma, asserts that the twins were abandoned and found by strangers. He, as a blood relative, claims full rights to guardianship." Murmurs filled the room. Then Oba's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, the truth is far from that. The twins were kidnapped from Oba Chukwuma's home 1 year ago. Evidence was buried, but fate has returned them. We will present proof." Amara stepped forward, her voice trembling but resolute. She recounted everything the morning she found the basket in the river, the necklace around the child's neck, the parchment hidden within. She held the necklace high, its golden crown glimmering under the court lights. "This is no trinket," she said. "It is a symbol of their bloodline." Kenichi scoffed. Necklaces can be forged. Stories can be invented. Where is the proof? The judge nodded. DNA testing will settle this matter. Tension filled the courtroom as the test results were brought forward. The clerk handed the sealed envelope to the judge, who opened it slowly. Silence fell, so thick that even breathing felt loud. Finally, the judge spoke. The results confirm a 99.9% match. The twins are the biological children of Oba and Ifeoma Chukwuma. The courtroom erupted. Gasps, cheers, even tears filled the air. Ifeoma collapsed into sobs of relief, clutching her sons. Oba closed his eyes, thanking God aloud. Kanechi's face twisted in rage. He rose, shouting, "Lies! This is all a conspiracy!" But the police stepped forward, placing firm hands on his shoulders. Adadora tried to slip away, but another officer stopped her. The judge's voice rang out, "Kanechi Chukwuma, you stand accused of orchestrating the kidnapping of your cousins. You will face the full weight of the law." As Kanechi was dragged away, his threats echoed in the chamber. "This isn't over. You'll regret crossing me." But his words carried no power anymore. His empire of lies had crumbled. After the chaos settled, Oba and Ifeoma turned to Amara. Tears streamed down their faces as they embraced her. "You brought our children home," Ifeoma whispered. "You are our savior." Oba added, "We owe you more than words can express. From this day forward, you are family to us." Amara, overwhelmed, shook her head. "I only did what was right. The river gave them to me, and now I return them to where they belong." But Oba insisted. "No. You belong here too. These children will grow up knowing the woman who saved them. Our doors will forever remain open to you." The twins, as if sensing the bond, reached their tiny hands toward Amara. She smiled through tears, kissing their foreheads gently. Outside, as the family left the courthouse together, crowds cheered. News cameras flashed, capturing the story that had captured the heart of the nation. The River Twins returned. And though Amara had come from a humble fishing village, she walked beside the Chukwuma family with her head held high. She was no longer just a fisherwoman. She was a guardian, a hero, a woman chosen by fate to protect innocence against greed. As the sun set over Lagos, casting golden rays across the city, Amara whispered a silent prayer of gratitude. The river had taken much from her in life, but this time it had given her a story that would live forever. The tale of the River Twins had reached its end, but the legend of their savior had only just begun.